In a first candid admission since the ceasefire with Iran, Israel Defense Minister said its military was planning to eliminate Ayatollah Ali Khamenei but did not go through it since the opportunity never presented itself. Quote unquote, if he had been in our sight, we would have taken him out. Katz was quoted as saying in an interview with the three Israeli television news programs, Channel 13, CAN and Channel 12. So I quote him again, we wanted to eliminate Khamenei but there was no operational opportunity. If Khamenei had been in our sights, we would have taken him out. Defense Minister of Israel. So it's a candid admission that they wanted to eliminate him. IDF couldn't locate Khamenei since he went underground, and after Iran's Beersheba attack, Katz said Khamenei can no longer be allowed to exist. Israel waited for opportunity to kill Khamenei. Last week, at the height of one of the conflict, US President Donald Trump had also threatened the Supreme Leader. He said, we know exactly where the so-called Supreme Leader is. He's an easy target, but he's safe there. We are not going to take him out, at least for now. And that's the US President. However, Trump did a U-turn saying regime change was not advisable at present. Asked whether Israel had sought American approval for carrying out a strike on Khamenei, Katz told Channel 13, we don't need permission for these things. On Thursday, in his televised address, Khamenei called Israel a fallacious Zionist regime and declared victory for Iran. I'm joined by Ambassador Arthur Leng, former Israeli diplomat. Thank you, sir, for joining me on Point. Now, so my question is very straight to you. If the defense minister says of a country that there was a plan to eliminate the supreme leader of another country, do you think any normalcy is possible?
Good evening. I'm not a fan of bellicose talk. I'm a diplomat, former diplomat, and a person who believes in a better future for Israelis and for Iranians, and think that that a new day is possible. That said, I think it's clear to anybody who's watched that Israel was able to do whatever it wanted to do, it had free reign over Iran. It didn't want to hurt the Iranian people. Iranians and Israelis are not enemies, but the military and nuclear and ballistic threat on Israel was real. For now, to be sure, it's gone. The whole world can see it, and I think that there's great opportunity for Western Asia, from India to Tel Aviv.
Arthur, my question to you is that a lot of people would say that what is the net outcome of unilateralism in global politics? You know, from an Indian perspective, there's a unilateralism when we see the special military operation that is taking place in Ukraine. This is also part of a sort of a unilateralism when a country can decide whether the leader of another country can exist or not. So where does one draw the line? I understand that there's an existential crisis. You know, Iran says that, Israel has no reason to exist. I understand that. I understand from which position Israel sees the threat which emanates from Tehran. But where does that end?
Well, you know that for years and years, one of the things I used to quote was that of the 194 members of the United Nations, there was only one UN member calling for the destruction of another member of the UN. No other example. India and Pakistan never talked that way. You may disagree, but you never talked or acted or brought proxies in a way to destroy another member of the UN. One of the things that we've learned in recent years in Israel is that when your enemy says he wants to do something, believe him. And Israel has acted strongly since the Hamas massacre of October 7th, which was funded by Iran, to take out first the proxies, to eliminate the risks in our neighborhood. And it seemed to us that Iran was rushing to get to a point that that danger had reached a point that it needed to be stopped. And again, I'm not a believer in bellicose talk. I very much more appreciate action, much more appreciate diplomacy when possible. But when you need to act, the actions of Israel's army, Israel's Air Force, Israel's Special Forces really speak for themselves. And I'm glad that they do. And I'm glad that our friends and foes can see and perhaps open a new opportunity for us and for our neighbors and for peace-minded, friendly countries.
Joins me, Madam. Today, when the interview came out of the defense minister, he said he wanted to, they wanted to kill Khamenei. I would like you to put this in perspective when it comes from the defense minister of a country about the leader of the other country. One, what's the Indian perspective on it? This is Ambassador Sikri, sir. I'll come to you. This is Ambassador Sikri. Thank you, madam. So, what's the Indian perspective here, and where does political unilateralism end, or the military unilateralism end?
Yeah, well, I think that India is very concerned about this aspect of political unilateralism that you've spoken about. We have excellent relations with Israel. We have good relations with Iran. So it's I agree that every country has to allow the other country to exist, and the differences should be solved by themselves, by dialogue and diplomacy, and certainly not by violence. And certainly not by violent threats. So this is the problem, and we have been watching with great dismay, what has been happening over the last few days, and it's very glad to see a ceasefire has emerged. But I don't know how many of the objectives of the various sides have been achieved. I think both sides have very sensibly agreed to a ceasefire, and we just hope that the next stage, as said by Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he was telephoned by the President of Iran, telephoned him on this point, that we do want de-escalation, we do want dialogue, and we do want diplomacy. So now that a ceasefire has been agreed upon, we very much hope that this path of dialogue and diplomacy will be the one that will be adopted by both sides. And certainly, I think that India has always been against terrorism. We've always been against terrorist groups, and we have a very, very strong move against on counterterrorism. We are willing to cooperate with all countries on counterterrorism, and similarly, we do agree, for example, on Hamas being a terrorist group. But we also agree on the right of the Palestinians to have their own state. So these are positions that countries have taken, have been there, and with the excellent relations that India and Israel have between each other, I really certainly hope that we can work together on this, as on many other issues that we are working together on, to make the world a safer place, a more peaceful place, and somehow to overcome differences without having to resort to violence.
Okay, Arthur, you wanted to come in. You wanted to make a point?
No, sure. What I was just going to, I fully agree with Ambassador Sikri. I think she's right. And that Israel and India are examples of countries with different histories, although lots of similarities, but that want to live in peace with our neighbors as best as we possibly can, but will stand up and defend ourselves when we don't have a choice. And I think that that's perhaps a basis of much of the defense partnership between Israel and India. Israel would much prefer and looks forward to the opportunity of having peace with more of our neighbors. We have a peaceful relationship with Egypt and with Jordan. There may even be opportunities these days regarding Lebanon and Syria, something that would have been impossible just a few years ago. Talk about Saudi Arabia and Indonesia and other countries that the sky's the limit in that respect, because Israel doesn't see those countries as enemies. Israel is looking to live with its neighbors in peace. But if you threaten us, if you put our security in danger, the first obligation of a country is to protect its citizens. And that's really all we're going to do. And I think we've made it clear in recent years that Israel is really good at it if put its back against the wall. And just one last point is that's not what we're looking for. And I appreciate that bellicose comments don't necessarily help, but the Iranian people, I think, and a lot of countries who you would think would not support Israel, are speaking quietly and interested in turning a page for all of Western Asia. And I think that we may have a unique historical opportunity right now, and I hope it can come.
I have a different question to you, Arthur. with the statement now in public, because I confine myself to the specific that we wanted to kill Khamenei, do you think that this will create a atmosphere where sort of a regime change is possible, or radicalize the society in support for the mullahs there in Tehran? What effect will that have?
Well, the truth is I don't think Israel has a central effect. This is an issue for the Iranian people, of all of its different cultures, to have a better future, to build back to what it used to be, what it could be. And that's a choice that they're going to make. Nobody's going to come from the outside and have a revolution. I hope for better days for the Iranian people. They're not our enemy. We have an ancient connection between the Jewish people and the Persian people that goes back to the time of the Bible. I was an ambassador in a country right next to Iran, in Azerbaijan, and I long for the day that I could use my Israeli passport to visit Iran. Inshallah, I hope that day comes soon. I think the biggest question is that if the current leadership stays in Iran, the country remains the same, the IRGC remains there, the Basij remains there, the entire structure remains there. I think the deterrence is at multiple levels, as we discussed with you during Operation Sindhu, when you said that it should not be looked from the military point of view. In one of my shows, you said it should be looked from the economic point of view, the political point of view, diplomatic point of view, and you broke it down to a number of parts. So, Iran has attained a deterrence in context of military, or in context of the nuclear, destroying the nuclear umbrella. But what about the political, economic, and other social fallouts? You were asking me, or
no, Ambassador Sikri?
I think that wars have a tremendously negative fallout, no matter what it is. I mean, it's not that it benefits anybody. I think in the end, you just see this time also, the Iranian missiles have penetrated the Iron Dome, and they have caused destruction and loss of life in Israel, which is very unfortunate. And similarly, I think, Kartikeya, you are right that the continued longevity of Ayatollah Khamenei has actually rallied all the people around him, even the moderates who are actually otherwise totally against the regime of Ayatollah Khamenei have now rallied around him, and they are more worried, much more concerned about preventing any further hostilities, about preventing a continuing deterioration in the quality of their lives, in the safety and security of their families. They want to prevent that. And so if they think that the Ayatollah Khamenei can give that to them, they will rally around him. So that is the problem with continuing violence. And that is why, the fact that a ceasefire has come about should be taken as a positive from all sides, to see how we can get this forward. I think earlier there was hope that the nuclear talks would resume. On Iran's nuclear program.
Sikri, statements at such highest level are not given casually. I mean to say, even as a journalist, I would say that there's always an intent. Every statement has a message. I don't think it was a casual statement. I think there's a messaging involved in that. For someone to do something like that, Defense Minister.
I agree with you on that, but the point is that this statement has been made not now, but many weeks before, that the Iran regime cannot be allowed to exit. That's not a new statement that the Defense Minister is making today. It's a continuation of all the statements that have been made before. And similarly, from the Ayatollah Khamenei, you have the same statement against Israel, the same way that we are going to continue, we're not going to stop, we're going to sort of prove our point, etc. So it's a bit unfortunate that despite the ceasefire, the nature of the statements have continued in identical fashion on both sides. So that is what is preventing the ceasefire from transforming into a peacemaking enterprise, either through talks or through some kind of coming together. This is what I'm saying, that I agree with you. The statement by the defense minister today has come as a huge surprise, but this is similar from both sides, and so being made earlier that this regime has to change, it has to go, it cannot be, and regime change was spoken about even by President Trump at one or two points. So I'm saying that going back to that kind of discussion and focus is not going to lead to the results, the optimal results that we were hoping that a ceasefire would bring. So that is what a de-escalation, ceasefire has brought the de-escalation. Now where's the dialogue and diplomacy? That has to kick in. That is what we want to see.
No, so, I agree with you. I think, when I think one of the former Mossad chiefs said, it becomes incumbent on Israel to mow the grass. The things come down to us that, we have to mow the grass once in 15, 20 years. So I think they have mowed the grass in Syria, they have mowed the grass in Lebanon, they have, carried out those operations. But the fact is, what is the longevity of this stability? I think that's where the crux of the matter is. Thank you both of you for joining me. So this was on point 2. In the next on point, we'll look at how West Bengal's Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has taken a right turn. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee on Thursday said she holds Puri Jagannath Temple in high esteem and has been a regular visitor as a devotee for years. Reacting to Odisha government's objection over the naming of the newly constructed temple in Digha as Jagannath Dham, Banerjee told reporters that she could neither understand nor comment on how the BJP-led government chose to react to it. She said hundreds of people of Odisha are visiting the Digha temple. Meanwhile, West Bengal, LOP, Assembly and BJP leader Subhendu Adhikari has hit out at Mamata, stating that she went to Digha Jagannath temple for leisure. Now, by organizing Jagannath Yatra, Mamata Banerjee is trying to neutralize BJP's charge that TMC is pro-Muslim and her politics is at the cost of Hindus. BJP has tried its best to corner Mamata on a number of issues, but BJP has not been able to defeat TMC in assembly votes. So this is all I had on point tonight. I will see you at the same time on Monday. Thank you and good night.
होल्डर का तेरे लिए मंगाओ मेरे नए म्यूजिक गॉगल्स मंगाओ क्या
नई गाड़ी कप होल्डर है ठोकी भी रख सकते हैं म्यूजिक भी
सेविंग्स की विद्या तो फिर तुझसे सीखे
कुछ बड़ा बनाना है तो पहले बचाओ फेडरल बैंक से रिश्ता बनाओ
Is this politics of appeasement?
That is the ground reality.
The violence continued unabated for the next 24 hours. Why is there Mamata for Pahalgam but not for Murshidabad?
Everyone in Pakistan is saying that India has punished us. We are all agreeing that Operation Sindoor is a success. तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है? किसका नमाज़े जनाजा निकल रहा था बहावलपुर में और रावलपिंडी में?
Rahul, talk to us, in terms of marketing. Some of the best marketing campaigns that you've worked on, at SAP India, you thought hit the nail on the head.
Well, I'll probably talk about a couple that I'm really proud of. One was something called the Transformation Express, again targeted at the mid-market, which was essentially a traveling showcase which housed a lot of our technologies meant for the mid-sized businesses. And that